Hey YouTubes, I'm back, and this is going to be the last video this week for a Sienna build. This is going to be focusing on Unchained, and you guessed it, the Fire Sword. Now, the Fire Sword is actually my favorite weapon. I do prefer to use Stagger in a lot of situations, especially with Pyro, but no matter what, I will always default to Fire Sword through a good at least 75–80% of my play with Sienna across all of her careers. It's an absolutely wonderful weapon. The stagger potential is amazing. The cleave attacks are amazing. All of them are going to apply a dot effect. That one does, I promise. Let's do it one more time. Claw. The initial claw damage will do damage. It doesn't seem like it does. It's got a really, really low arc. As you can tell, it didn't do any there, but the dot still hit. If you hit it straight on, it will do it, and the dot will still tick. Now, your dots will also apply with your secondary swing. If you get multiple, your dots are not going to stack. So keep in mind that this isn't just a spammy thing that you can constantly do. Well, yes, but no, you can. Getting into the ranged weapon, I think that the beam staff is exclusively something that should be designed just for Unchained. You need to be able to get stuff in ranged, and you don't have any ults to get you there. You have the reach and the sustain of the beam, and your charged attack is going to give you all of your cleave in the horde. So let's talk about the builds. Now, I prefer to play Unchained a little bit on the fast side. With crit chance, attack speed, and swift slaying, it seems kind of weird because Unchained does not have as much crit potential as her other two careers. However, you do need to have some crit chance because you need to proc swift slaying. It's already a fast weapon. In its light attack chain, it is particularly fast, and the only real slowdown comes from that minute pause that's after that third light attack. My swift slaying procced only once in that encounter, and now it's still not proccing again. So like I said, you need to have that crit because it needs to be there. It needs to give you at least another 5% chance to get it. I believe that the charged attacks will trigger, have a better chance of critting. Your push stabs will have a better chance of critting, as you can tell. Will get you that. So it's good to open up if you want to have that fresh attack swing where you're attacking faster off the swift slaying. It's better to go ahead and use your charged attack to get that to proc, or your push stab to get it to proc. So I've explained the melee weapon, but let's go into range, because I think this is where it needs to be understood that the beam staff has the most potential. In the barrage encounter, you are going to be stacking the charged bursts. 90% of the time, that's going to be your usage of the staff. You want to manually vent. You don't want to be in the red all of the time. If you're going to be in the red, you want to go with your, let's count it out here. Let's bring it down all the way, all the way. Come on, faster. Jeez, it's so slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 6 in the red, and that's where you want to stop. You want to have those 5 stacks of both your terrible with names. You want to have your 5 stacks of blood magic. You want to have your 5 stacks of barrage. The reason why it's so important to have the beam staff with infantry is because that's where you're focusing 90% of it. When you have your horde and you have your huge cleave, you want that to be in your ranged weapon. You want to be able to burst. But the reason why I chose power versus monsters is because when you're in a boss fight, this is doing nothing for you, and this is really doing nothing for you unless you're just trying to apply a dot. If he's in close, go ahead and get a few charged attack swings in there, get a couple dots on him, do a beam for a few seconds, 1, 2, 3, get back in with that again, and yeah, that's it. That's the encounter explained. Now, as far as the necklace goes, I think this is the crux of the build. Damage reduction versus area damage. I believe that this is super important, and I'm kind of debating on stacking it just a little bit more for Unchained, just because she is the most susceptible out of all of the careers across every character. She's the most susceptible to area damage. And I think this is the only one career where this property actually comes into play very heavily. Um, sure, it's only 10%, but it could be enough to keep you from hitting that overcharge too much because you accidentally stepped into some green fire, or because you got hit by the edge of some gas and you missed it entirely. Who knows? But it's enough to keep you from blowing up in those dire situations where things get really hairy. Again, block cost reduction. I haven't gone into the talents a whole lot yet, but I don't want to focus on backblast. I don't want to focus on dissipate. I just want to let my necklace do the talking for me. You can stack them together, but at some point you're going to reach a break where having all this block is really doing nothing for you because it's taking so much away from your damage potential. So I think the only balance is coming from that one property. Bark skin is going to keep you from taking subsequent damage sources. It's going to keep you from hitting that overcharge. She needs to have a much wider safety net than her other two careers in Unchained. Barkskin is going to get you there. So I'm a huge fan of it now because of that. Power versus armored. I think it's very important to have some. But I think you want to focus more on attack speed. This build can slow down very, very much if you don't have some kind of attack speed built into it. Movement speed, I think, is more important than crit. She needs to be able to move just a little bit faster because she's more melee oriented. I do like to have Grenadier instead of Shrapnel and Unchained, and only because it's just fun. I like to blow stuff up. I like to be in close and make booms. Having an extra grenade just kind of adds to that feel, but there's no real strategy to having it other than that. So it's mission time. I'm going to go ahead and cue something up here. I'm going to go back into, I was toying around earlier. I want to go back into Hellscourge. I really like Hellscourge. I believe it's probably one of the shortest maps, but it also gives me a chance to show off a little extra boss damage using the beam staff. And I really wish that Lorna would kind of screw up Hellscourge's name from time to time in these load screens. It would be hilarious on Fat Shark's part if they implemented something like that. Or I don't know, like every 5th time you do it, he messes up his name. It just makes sense, right, guys? All right, I'm going to get a quick vape and we're going to start this. Now, this level, guys, is absolutely drab. I know a lot of people that just really hate it, but it's so fast. It's so quick. You don't have any encounters in the map that really slow you down, other than the elevator. So that's where the armor pin comes in. It's going to translate into all of your weapons, obviously. I think everybody knows that by now. But it does help to have it on your burst attack with your hold, blow, boom, whatever the hell that's called. I seem to always take two charged burst attacks like this. Alright, armor. And they're not lined up with each other. Parry. Now, you have to aim. When you're using the fire sword, you have to aim at your armor. You have to get those attacks to make contact. Oh, wow, I didn't get him. Thought I staggered him. Come on, drop down. I hear you. And there's where the necklace trait comes in handy. You hit the edge of that, and it really hasn't done much of anything to you. Alright, well, we're moving. That charged attack will take out the weaker enemies very easily. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you notice, it only took, what, was that 2? I think that was 2. I'm going to have to check the replay. As long as you aim your attacks properly, you can take out armor with your charged swings on your fire sword. I know a lot of people have said it was very useless against armor and heavy enemies for a long time, and that's just not the case anymore. I'm going to go ahead and use my manual vent. Oh, Plague Monks. This is going to be fun. The only thing I don't like about fighting groups like this, let's use it offensively. Why not? That was very risky because they could have all turned on me. I don't know what I was saying, guys. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, attack animations. When enemies, larger enemies, Chaos Warriors, Storm Vermin, Berserkers, when any of those things kind of get into their attack animations, they don't get out of it. The only thing to stop them is to kill them or to dodge out of the way. Now, Conduit comes into play very heavily here because it keeps my temp health up. It allows me to manually vent if I need to. But the constant cleaves on my melee weapon, I don't think I highlighted the talents well enough. But the constant cleave on my melee weapon, the stagger, whatever, either one of those talents. Grab that bomb for me, boys. Those are going to keep my temp health up and will enable me to do this as much as I want without really touching my temp health at all. It's always a juggling act with Sienna, but that's by design. They want you to play like this. I hear that hook rat. Where are they? Let's bomb them. It's always fun. Bombing fish in a barrel. Now you could hear that. The audio cue for that attack and that charge swing hit him. And as you can see, that charge attack killed him. Just be aware, the fire sword does do damage, guys. I know I have a lot of... There's a lot of fans of the fire sword. They're aware of this, but there's a lot of people that argue against it and just say that it's just grossly ineffective and not sustainable, not viable. And there's no getting out of that. I have to move. Let's go get some temp health. I swear I hear them back here. Oh, they're probably down in the tunnels, ain't they? I bet they are. Come on, bots, kill that thing already. Oh. There we go. Temp health time, lads. Alright, I've had enough of this. Now, keep in mind, bark skin will also translate into overcharge reduction as well. You're taking less damage, it's reducing your damage, it's also therefore reducing your overcharge. When your overcharge increases because you take damage, bark skin's working. It's also working with your overcharge. Oh, we don't want to fight him out there, that would be nasty. Just push him out of the way, I know he's still there. No, maybe not, bots killed him. Now guys, always save your grenades in case somebody gets grabbed. See? Ate right through it. Alright, grenade time. This is when you use your grenades. Oh no, I just used my potion. Come on. Thanks, Cerulean. What is he doing? Fat shark, please. What? Alright, now we're building up our barrage stacks. We got our overcharge going. It's just eating him away. And he's dead. Alright. Drink up and move on. Silliness. Utter silliness. And as per usual, if you've seen my other videos, I'm not going for books. Don't need them. They just get in the way of all my happy fun times. No point in chasing them down. See if there's a health over here to carry around. Yeah. Tell me that's art. Tell me that's art. Yes. Oh no, I don't have my Bard and Healer bot. I made a healer bot. I like to solo my legend deeds. For all the crappy ones, I don't want to force on my friends. So I made a healer bot. And he is just absolutely wonderful at his job. But that's the last one I played was my Ironbreaker, so that's what I got stuck with. Thanks, Krillian. You should have just picked it up and gave it to me. I hate trying to hit hook rats with the beam staff. I'm always terrible at it.
Can we hurry? This doesn't feel very stable, darling.
By the way, I don't jump around when I shoot for the sake of jumping around. I feel like the kind of slow fall from it helps me aim just a little bit better. And they're behind me now. Oh well. I do jump a lot when I use my secondary attack from my beam staff because I want to shoot over and into the crowd. I want to try to get those headshots. I want to try to trigger those crits, and I don't want to hit my teammates. It's a good habit to develop if you're one of those people that's always being a hinge on friendly fire. You don't want that. Friendly fire is not really a problem. It's just an annoyance. Alright, so I'm going to do something a little bit different. We're not going to progress through the entire map. I'm not going to finish the encounter. I'm not going to go to the boss. I've illustrated, I think, enough how we're attacking and how we're approaching all of this. We're staggering and we're controlling. And I think that's the gist of it. I'm going to go ahead and leave the map. I want to hop back out into the keep. And I want to be redundant. I don't think I covered conduit enough. And I don't think I covered the 20 heal talent enough. So, just to reiterate, conduit is absolutely the most effective thing you can have. Again, these were both two separate talents that pre-existed together, and now they're both rolled into one. Best of both worlds, you absolutely want to have it. The stamina regeneration, honestly, you can take any one of these three. I prefer to have the stamina regeneration. You never know when you're going to need it, and it's so easy to quickly trigger off your first charged attack, and because of the dot damage, it's always going to hit. Reckless Rampage versus Soul Quench, again, I want to reiterate that you can really use either one of these two. It's always going to keep your temp health up. Throw a dart at a board when it comes to that. So that's the end of this build. It's not the most perfect way to play Unchained. There are more effective ways, but I feel like this is the most balanced. This is the most easily approachable and easily obtainable way of doing it, and it's also just a little bit different. Most people don't use Fire Sword. Most people don't use Beam Staff, at least not on Unchained that I encounter. Your guys' experience could be completely different, and most people don't use these properties in trades. Um, it's not something you see a lot of, and I wanted to just try something different. It's something that I use regularly. It's the only way I really like playing Unchained right now. But I will share some other Unchained builds later on. I think next week I'm going to focus on Barden videos. Maybe mix it up a little bit. Do a little bit of Barden. Do a little bit of Saltspire. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you have anything that you would like to add to the video, please do so in the comments. I love seeing your guys' input. I get a lot of feedback on other platforms. YouTube, I'm just now branching out into. If you guys want to contact me on Steam, message me directly. I'm always happy to add people and join in groups and help you out if you have any questions. And if you want to add to it, again, like I said, throw it down in the comments. I would love to try out new things. If you think that there's something that's far more effective than what I'm doing, and it's just the end all of builds, please feel free to share them. Everybody should know about this stuff. And that's it. Again, have a good one.